all dudes.
Yeah.
Like anyone who says there's like, oh, there's so many women coming.
No.
It's still like 3% or something
100%.
bananas tiny.
100%.
So tiny. And we would go
Invest.
around. Yeah.
Dudes invest.
And blue vests.
Yes.
Using all the same like acronyms and jargon. And there was a lot of like, oh, I'm going to ask my wife if she uses this. And I was like, aren't you a consumer investor? Isn't this your job?
Right.
Like,
right.
Wouldn't it be weird if I was like an energy investor and I went home and I was like, I don't know. Let me ask
my husband. Let me just see what he thinks about this.
Let me see if he puts this kind of gas in our car. It's like, wait.
on oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Walking down the street, thinking about her exit. Breaking down the steps so every founder gets it. She's the exit whisperer, she's opening the door. It started with a whisper, now that whisper's gonna roar. She just sold her company. And here, you get the real story. Shh, you could be next. Walking down the street, thinking about her exit.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Exit Whisperer. I am Carrie Kerpen, your resident exit whisperer, here to tell you all the tales of female-founded exits. I am thrilled to bring Natalie Mackey on the show today. So let me tell you about Natalie. So when I met her, and she is the CEO and co-founder of Winky, which is a fantastic makeup brand. I met her at a summit in California with some wealth managers and some people. And I looked across the room at her and instantly knew that we had a shared bond around our exit experiences. And you will see in this interview, you'll hear exactly that. So Natalie was able to, it's different from me. She did raise funds because she had a product business, and that is what one needs to do in most product businesses. But she was able to successfully bring that through to exit and have the same feelings around money that I do. And I think one of the things that makes that so interesting is she's unafraid to talk about it. And I'm unafraid to talk about it too. And in that process, hopefully, you guys can feel a little bit heard in how you feel about money. So I'm really excited for you to take a listen. Natalie is the absolute best. It's a great episode, especially if you're a CPG founder in any capacity. Dude, must listen. Go. Welcome, Natalie, to the show.
So good to see you, Carrie.
I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here.
I want you to tell the story of Winky. Tell me how it started.
Totally. Winky started as kind of a crazy art project that was not supposed to live. Originally, my business partner and I started a company that was it was like a marketplace.
Okay.
And we saw white space in the marketplace. We were selling beauty products, but we were like an affiliate model. And we did a bunch of consumer surveys and things like that. And long story short, what we discovered was like marketplaces were really hot at the time. Like,
yes,
this was 10 years ago. So everybody, was getting all of this funding and it was the next big thing and their inventory light, cut to a lot of those like big funding stories like ended up going out of business. So, but at the time, you know how markets are, they're just like they're very like a lot is indexed on trend.
Of course. It's all about what's happening and what's in the moment now. And then they all flock to fund a certain area and then they're dead in the water.
Totally.
Yep.
Like 2 years ago it was AI and now AI companies are having a harder time. I mean,
remember when Groupon was the thing?
Oh my God.
And like that whole world and the 8,000 guilt group, this, that, the other, like forget it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we were very starry-eyed about that.
Yes,
so
yes.
We started this marketplace but really quickly we were seeing that we weren't solving a big problem. We had this proprietary quiz, which was a little bit ahead of its time. It was kind of cool. We were solving this and we knew we wanted to kind of go out and fundraise. And one of the things in beauty is you like to see like a pretty healthy margin. So we thought, okay, let's create a brand that fills this white space that we see in the market because we see a lot of different products. So I was like a frustrated artist. If I had been an heiress, I would have gone to art school and like just been an artist. So I took my frustrated artist hat and I had gone to art school later on in life and I was like, oh, this will be fun. And so we designed the brand very fearlessly because it wasn't supposed to be a big part of the business. And so we launched it and it turned out that people were a lot less interested in the marketplace, a lot more interested in the brand.
How quickly did you know that?
It was about, but from the time we launched until we like really pivoted exclusively, I think it was like 6 to 8 months. It was pretty quick.
So you knew quickly that this was going to be the area that took off.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because we knew that the marketplace was just like was an uphill battle.
Yeah.
And we didn't, as a consumer, I was kind of like, this is very weird. I'm hearing this is so hot, but I don't actually use this. Like this isn't something that
you would
I
have
care
to take
about.
an extra step to go to the place that really would be the marketplace. You have to drive traffic.
Well, and also
all
beauty,
day.
and beauty products, especially back then, but even today, a huge percentage of them are bought in person because
You want to try them.
Exactly, you want to try them, and also like e-commerce really is a solve for friction.
Yes.
In the shopping experience, for clothing, for all these other consumer goods, but it's not necessarily in beauty because people find shopping for beauty to be a pleasure. So people go to Sephora, they go to Ulta, and they have a really good time.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So
it's not viewed as a hassle. It's viewed as a pleasure.
Yes.
Like it's like almost like a luxury treatment to go get yourself some beauty stuff.
totally. No one says like, oh, I hate going to Sephora.
You're right. You're right. I actually never thought of that, but you are right.
Yeah.
Of course.
But meanwhile, if you have to go to the if
I have to go shop for bathing suits, I want to jab my eyes out. But beauty, I'm like happy as could be.
Totally.
100%.
So there's a reason so much of it is still bought in person.
Okay.
And that's where we ended up. And all of our advisors, we hadn't taken any money at the time. We were just living off of our savings, which was getting scary.
Yeah.
But what all of our advisors were like, whatever you do, just like don't start a brand. So we were like,
okay,
well,
on marketplace, no on brand.
Maybe we're pretty dumb. But we started this brand and it was just very wonky and wild.
Well, even the name, it just makes me think of your like artistry, like Winky Lux. Like I could totally see you.
It's named after a dog.
Love.
It's not even a real dog.
Love.
It's a dog in a movie. And so, and that was a holding name. And then we fell in love with it. So we're keeping it. And again, there was this like real fearlessness in the brand. It wasn't overthought.
It tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, so was it a variety? When it started out, was it a variety of different products? How did you?
It was 3 products.
Okay.
And then what really put us on the map was we made like the technology to put a flower inside of a lipstick had existed, but it wasn't a very clean formula. It was kind of gross. And we'd seen that in other markets. We'd seen it in like Asian markets, but we hadn't really seen anyone take off with it in the US. And so we cleaned up the formula. And then our flower bomb became like our big seller. We sold millions of flower bombs, and it still to this day is in our top 5 best-selling products, which is bananas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so I'm picturing you're pivoting, you're running low on savings. What point are you able to successfully raise?
Oh my God. It took a long time. I was thinking about this the other day, how long, I was actually talking to my business partner about it. It was about 2 years before we could raise. We started the process at about 18 months.
Okay.
And we didn't get anywhere in the first time we went out to talk to people. And then with the flower bomb launch, the business started to really take off. And that's when we were able to go and raise. And we had planned on it being about a year, but it ended up being almost 2 years.
Okay. And what was that process like?
It was interesting. Each fundraise was so different.
Okay.
Both because I was different, because the market was different, and because the business was different. And I think market dynamics are so underappreciated. So the first fundraise we did, e-commerce and novel consumer goods brands were really trading at they were very hot, right?
Okay.
Like Glossier had launched a few years earlier. Outdoor Voices had just launched. There was a lot of really cool e-commerce, like digitally native brands. So that was not as hard, I think, as it would be later on in the business, but at the time, it was good timing for that particular thing. Had we tried at the very beginning, it would not have been. We needed like some of that traction to happen. So we were able to raise $2 million. We had a lot of weird fundraising meetings, like when you're
like fake fundraising meetings.
No, like weird ones. We had like we met with like all the usual suspects in Silicon Valley, and it's all dudes. Yeah. Like anyone who says there's like, oh, there's so many women coming, it's still like 3% or something
100%.
bananas tiny.
100%.
So tiny. So it's all men, and like all of Sand Hill Road is just like a sea of guys. And we would go
Invest.
around, yeah,
Dudes invest.
in blue vests,
Yes.
and using all the same like acronyms and you know, jargon. And we went around, and there was a lot of like, oh, I'm going to ask my wife if she uses this, and I was like, aren't you a consumer investor? Don't you? Isn't this your job?
Right.
Like,
right.
Wouldn't it be weird if I was like an energy investor and I went home and I was like, I don't know. Let me ask
my husband. Let me just see what he thinks about this.
Let me see if he puts this kind of gas in our
What
car.
are
And
his
it's like,
thoughts
wait.
on oil?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, I was like, this is so strange. But that's sort of like a very standard story. And we just kind of pushed through it and got, our first round was led by Female Founders Fund,
Fantastic.
who's amazing. They're still very close with their team. Yeah, it kind of went from there. And then our Series A was much more competitive. We had a couple of term sheets there. That was a few years later. And then our B was a lot harder. And not because I always talk about this, like, market dynamics are so important because the company was stronger, it was bigger, it was more profitable, it was like everything, but it was the hardest fundraise we had because it was like a lot of our competitors had gone out of business.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like the market was kind of littered with these like failed prospects. And so that was hard. That was really hard. I think we met with like 100 funds.
Yeah, I think we underestimate a lot of times when people are talking about how fantastic their exit was, or, you know, what their raise, what they were able to accomplish. You do underestimate the external factors that go into that, which is such a huge part.
Massive.
I mean, that's the part that we have no control over. So it's so much harder. Like, we can't control the external factors, but we can control how we perform during, you know, those times. And you were able to get the raise done.
Yeah, we've eventually got it done.
To do it.
So, but it was just harder. And I think that was one of the things that I always like to stress is the only way to really keep control is to build a company that gets to profitability really fast. And that's one of my, you know, when I look back at like things I wish I had done differently, I think about, I wish we had focused on profitability earlier because it would have given us more control at that particular time frame.
Could you have, do you think, if you focused on it,
don't
could you
know.
have? I
It's all
don't know.
conjecture.
I think it's like, it's interesting. I came from a services background. So it's very easy to control profit. You have no inventory. You have no, you know, it's people.
Yeah.
And so if you want people up, down, you know, really looking at like, you control the levers there.
Yeah.
And with product like that, it's harder to. So I think, I mean, yes, of course you would want to focus on it earlier, but also all that to say is give yourself some grace for a minute there. Right? You don't really know. You don't really know. How much did you raise in total?
13 million.
Okay. And that was over the course of how many years?
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at what point do you decide, okay, maybe this is time?
So we were in, and this is another one. I love, everyone always has these like Cinderella stories where like, and it was so easy and amazing. And they were beating down our door.
Yeah.
Another sort of, and I'm so happy with our journey. So I'm not here to like, you know, poo-poo it.
No, of course.
I like to talk about, I find that there's a lack of transparency sometimes in the market. And I like to just be forthcoming about it. There are, like 2021 was an insane time to raise or to exit.
Of course.
And we, at the time, were really growing fast at that point. And we had a brand new account, which was Ulta. And Ulta was doing really well. And we kept saying, like, let's wait and get those numbers and raise in 22. And had we raised in 21, you know, so I feel like I'm giving all these like old, like, beware the market.
Looking back. Well, it's because market dynamics affected some stuff for you, really, if you think about it. So you didn't do it in 21.
We didn't do it in 21. And
21 was the unicorn year of crazy.
It was crazy.
It was not normal. That's what I told. It wasn't normal. I always try and explain when I talk about like multiples and different things. It's like there were no rules in 2021.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
None.
Like cash was flying everywhere.
Yes.
You know, I wish we had done it then. We didn't. We ended up going into the market in 23.
Okay.
And it was a harder time in the market, but it was still, we built a really cool brand. Like people really loved the brand. And we started, you know, we hired an investment banker and we went out to market. And originally we said we're just going to fundraise and we're going to fundraise to like this will be our last fundraise. And what we found was actually like, there was a lot less. We had a lot of interest in acquisition, but we didn't have interest in raising. It was very what I call like a pencils down year in consumer investing. And frankly, there were like very few deals done during that year, like acquisitions done.
Yes. Oh no, everything froze because 21 was so crazy. Then there was a market correction and it took like 23 where everyone was like, absolutely not.
Yeah. So we had a longer process. We were out there for like 18 months. And we found a buyer and we found like a good home. And so we sold it a year and 4 months ago-ish. And then I stayed on for a year, which was great. It was like the first time the business had, a big balance sheet. They could really grow. And then it was time for me to like move on and start working on my next thing, which is exciting, but also like I'm back in the beginning, which is also like, oh my God, I remember that.
Absolutely. It's crazy to start over in that way.
Totally. You did it. You started over.
Yes, I did. I'm sitting right here with you in my next act for sure. And I'm thinking about your exit and about how you originally went out to raise. And then you said, you know what, for this market, I think it's just better we get acquired.
Yeah.
Was that decision in that moment of where you were, and I know it probably took a little time to get to that, but was that difficult, or were you like, okay, I'm ready for this now?
I think we saw some writing on the wall about like the macroeconomics, and we'd been in it for 10 years. I really felt like or it was 9 years at the time, but I really felt like the market was shifting a lot, and if we weren't prepared, either with a big fundraise or with a big partner. And we sold the majority. We still have a nice slug of equity in the company. But if we didn't have a partner like that, we were possibly going to get into trouble. And sometimes my predictions are just total nonsense, but that one was right because tariffs hit like 6 months later. And had we not had that, I think we potentially could, you needed a lot of cash to weather that. So,
oh my gosh. So you know what? We can't kvetch about the 2021 problem
we can't
because
kvetch about it. You're right.
Oh my gosh, you sold right before tariffs.
Yeah, it was 6 months before that.
Okay, so I'll take that timing for you. I will take that timing for you.
It was the right outcome for the business and the right outcome to like protect the brand, protect the employees, protect everything. And it was right. But it is kind of a strange as a CEO, like you create something and then you're releasing it into it's like your child goes to college. Yeah.
And you also, it's definitely like that. Yeah. It is exactly like that, actually.
And like all these people you work with every day.
You're like,
I still talk to them, but they're all like, they're still working at it and I'm doing something different.
It's such a weird experience. Yeah. And I also think what's weird, and we've talked about this before, is like, and I have a lot of founders who come on the show, by the way, who did huge raises and then sold and actually ended up getting completely screwed, which I'm very happy that you did not. But I think that a lot of times when you exit in what we consider like in the middle, like in other words, it's not the epic, ridiculous amount of money that you see in the news every moment. Yeah. It's not an epic failure where you're miserable. It's just,
which is where I think a lot of acquisitions actually land up.
Okay. And like you're sitting in the middle and like, it's like, for me, I don't know. I sometimes find that a little hard to grapple with, and the identity of being this exited female founder. And that can mean many, many, many different things.
I have girlfriends who had they have like private jets. Like that. I did not get
the private jet exit. Yes.
I did not get a private jet exit. I hope my next business is a private jet exit.
You go first class. You could go first class to California.
Totally. Yeah.
There you go.
And like I can feel freedom and feel like I can go do my next thing.
Yes.
And that's huge. I mean, like to be able, and I have this, what I'm finding too is that as I started my next thing, things are just so much faster the second time around for lots of reasons. Like they're faster because of AI. They're faster because I just know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
We filed a patent the other day and I was like, I called 3 people I knew that were patent experts, and we save so much time just because of the network. You know, we just know who to call.
It's the network. It's the technology.
Yeah.
It's all of the things that make you better. And I mean, I, for one, am so psyched about the technology that's happening because I think it helps you go so much faster. Like I'm able to do things I never would have been able to do in my first business. And that's
totally
huge. And to have that when it's not your first business, but it's your second or third, and you have the experience, I think that's like a major recipe for success.
Totally. Yeah. I'm sure you even feel it even more so in like client services where you've got like people are your inventory.
Yeah.
You know, the people are just like more, you can do more with one person than you could before.
You can, and one person can do a lot more and work with a lot more people or clients than they ever could have before because they have the technology to support them to get their reports done faster or you know, whatever it is. It's fantastic. I know, and it's the same. I mean, it's across all industries. You see it
totally.
So
well, I have so many thoughts on it. There in some ways, I actually think that this is a rare time in history where brand new businesses almost have like an advantage.
Yes, I think so.
Because there's no tech debt.
That's
and
right.
There isn't like the operational debt of having to go through and say, all right, we can create this software, but then we're going to lose this department and maybe it won't work. Like you're just starting from scratch.
No bloated staff debt too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in agencies, you had these things where like there were so many people.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
And then you don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
But you're so connected to your people and you care so much about your people that you want to keep them. So then you have to try and race to try and catch up to the revenue. It's very, very challenging, I think, to have historical baggage in a time of new technology. For
100%.
Sure. How did you grapple with the identity shift? And I know I don't know, not left.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah. How it like, because you are Natalie Mackey, founder of Winky Lux, right? Like that's like how that's when we know you in the world, that's what we see. Of course, you are many, many other things than that, but that's typically like if you Google you, that's who you are.
That's really how I see myself too.
Right. It's hard. It's like it's like something. I was like Carrie Kirpin, co-founder, likable, fine, but like, how are you dealing with it?
I think it's a weird time. I don't know. How do you deal with it?
I don't know.
It's weird. I don't know. Even my daughter the other day, she's 4, and she was telling her friend, she's like, my mommy makes makeup, but she also makes other things, but I don't know what those things are.
She's making some new things now. She's making some new things.
That's right. That's a pretty good elevator soundbite of what I'm doing now. So it's kind of a funny time in the world. It is weird. I'm like, I do feel really energized by the new creativity, but I also feel, a little nostalgic. Yeah. And I'm so lucky. I mean, I have a great relationship with the Winky team and I still talk to the team all the time. So that part is really nice. But I also, and I see the products. I left my makeup bag the other day. I went into Target. I bought all the products, which was also weird. I was like, wait a minute. Normally I would just have someone FedEx these.
Yes. Why am I buying these right now?
And they would still probably, I still have me on like an influencer list.
That's pretty funny.
But I would feel bad calling them and saying, and I wouldn't.
No, but it's nice that you bought it. There's something like kind of full circle about that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It was really, that part is really like bittersweet and fun.
Yeah.
But it is strange. Like I don't remember who said it, but like sometimes things have to be done to have the next thing. Yeah. And that part is a little bit, there's like a grieving process.
Yeah. I think the answer lies somewhere in, and of course I am still searching on the answer, but I think it really lies in the closing of the chapter and the stepping into the next one. I mean, it's really weird for people who are watching on video. We're recording this in the studio that was part of Likeable. And like, I'm here in this company that I built and sold.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sitting in here and it's never fully closed. And I think part of the identity shift is actually a little bit like accepting that was a chapter and then moving to the next. Like, it's kind of like you going and still buying Winky Lux. Like, you have the affinity for the brand. You'll always love the brand. It's always a part of you. But now you're going into Target to buy it instead of being like, okay, hand it over, send it now. It's a weird feeling for sure.
It is and not one that anyone can kind of prepare you for, right?
No, you can't. It's too weird. It's too weird when you talk about it. It's too weird to be like, I sold this and all my identity is, shifted. But like people who get it, get it.
Yeah.
And they know.
Yeah.
They know what this is like.
Totally.
Do you feel as you invent new things and think about new things, and I remember we were talking about a few of them when we were brainstorming and thinking, do you feel internalized pressure to make it a massive success? Like,
oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the type A.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the stuff that makes crazy entrepreneurs crazy.
It does.
So totally, it has to be like amazing. But I will say, there's a little bit more of, there's a little bit less fear of like looking stupid. Like that part I don't actually care about.
Yes.
I'm like, I did that thing. I built that thing. It's great. It's in the market. You can go to Ulta's and Targets and see it. And that's awesome. But I also, so that part's gone, like the proving myself.
Right.
But the other part that's there is like, oh, like how much fairy dust do you have? Like that question. Yeah. Or like, can you strike it twice?
Can you strike it twice? I think I have that all the time.
Yeah.
I really do. I think about when I launched Likeable, it was a social media agency in 2007. There were none of them. And so it was market dynamics. It was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of capitalized, but it was also nobody was doing social media. And we had the nerve and the gall to be like, oh, we do social media for Fortune 500 brands. Like, okay. I mean, nobody did at the time. And it's like, I think about that a lot. Is like, can I capitalize on that type of market dynamic again and like hit? It's like, it's sort of that obsession to hit. Like you hit and then you want to hit again. And I think it's a very interesting space, that in between.
Yeah. I get stuck sometimes. And I used to, when I was first starting the brand, we had this like shitty little office in the Lower East Side. We were renting an office that was basically a conference room from our PR firm, which is run by one of my best friends. And so but we were like crammed into this tiny little box and, on Ludlow Street. And there was, I remember getting really nervous often, like, what have I done here? Like, what am I doing? And I remember just having this Post-it note, and I can't take credit for this quote, but it just said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And it just meant like, you have to just do it. And this was kind of in the beginning too of like influencer marketing. And we had no idea what we were doing. We would just like call people and go to BeautyCon. And just talk to people in lines and say like, hey, do you want to use our product? And that was back when influencers use your product like completely organically.
Of course. It was like it wasn't a business yet.
Yeah,
in that
totally.
way.
There were no agents.
It was an experience. And so that's
totally.
Yes, for sure. I love that quote.
Yeah.
I love it.
You just sometimes just doing the thing is kind of the difference between people who make it and don't. Yeah. Because a lot of people are just afraid to do the thing, right? And have it fail, but it's like, who cares? If you fail, it's just going to do something different.
Exactly. And I think that's the whole thing. It's like you just start. Start. This is a random, but I was just thinking about it with you and your exit. What were the stories you told yourself, I guess, around money growing up, and how did it change as you started to gain success and then post-exit?
Oh my God. I wish I could say I've totally nipped scarcity mindset, but it's a lifelong, battle for me. I always think like it's never enough. I'm never going to be okay. Sometimes I wonder too, if I like level up my lifestyle to match it too, just to keep myself on my toes. I worry about that.
Yep.
Like, it's a really interesting thing that I've done like some personal work around it. Like we didn't have money growing up. I did have a lot of entrepreneurs in my life. I had some really successful family members. They weren't my immediate family members, but I was able to kind of look at them. So I was really grateful for the exposure, but I also saw kind of how, I knew I wanted to have agency, and I wanted to be able to have no upward limit.
That's exactly the same. I'm motivated by freedom and financial freedom in particular. But what's insane is that, and you're right about that, about the leveling up. Like, at what point do you have financial freedom?
Oh, I could theoretically never work
never.
again if I my lifestyle was like a
100%.
certain way, but I sort of like keep pushing myself into these. I mean, I live in New York City, so
Yep.
that's really easy to do.
Yes.
But I think it's a very interesting psychological exercise to ask yourself, like, what is this thing that maybe I like the risk a little bit. My husband thinks I'm like weirdly addicted to risk.
Yeah.
He thinks that I've got like a that I just like love dice throwing, and he might be right.
Well, it might be the adrenaline of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you get yourself, you have to create this huge success in order to get to the next level, and that run is sort of addictive. I think I have that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I asked you, I don't always ask that question, but I asked you because I felt like you might be
sense
similar
like
to
crazy.
me. Yes, like it's very, very similar in that way.
Yeah.
And what do you think makes a founder successful? What do you think it is?
So many different. The more founders I meet, the more variety of people I meet. But I will say, like, one of the things that's pretty ubiquitous is curiosity. I think entrepreneurs are just generally super curious.
Yeah.
There was a guy, I bought some tiles the other day, and this guy that was putting the tiles in my car was like, "What do you do? What do you do?" And I was like, "Well, it's a long story, but I like that you're asking me this question because that's something I would have asked if I was 19 and working at the tile store. I would have been like, "What does this
do you
lady
do?
do?
What does
You're
she
you're here in
do?"
the middle of the day.
Yes.
You're buying these fancy tiles.
Yeah.
Like, what is your job?
What's
You're like a stay-at-home mom?
What's your story?
Yeah, and I was like, I like this because that's what I was always so
Because
curious
it's
about.
the curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's that curiosity. I think there's just sort of there's like a bit of a screw loose. You have to have a little bit of like blind hubris.
Yes.
But I worked in finance, and I remember meeting entrepreneurs, and I remember kind of getting to know some of them and being like, wait a minute, I'm as smart as this guy.
Yep.
I can do this.
Yep.
So I think that was helpful. Just like opening up, looking behind the veil. I don't think it's like necessarily an intelligence thing. I think it's more of it's like being okay with risk, definitely having a feeling of needing agency and curiosity. Those are my three.
That is awesome.
Because some people aren't motivated by, I have some really successful friends who have like no money motivation whatsoever. Yeah. They're just totally problem solvers. And then I have some that are very money motivated. So I don't know if it's that's like necessarily a required trait.
Yeah.
I think it's more that like grit and curiosity. And
so there's lots of people listen to the show. Okay. Lots of people. It's a really targeted audience of women who have their businesses or looking to start. Also, I have that too.
Yeah.
But, and are eventually building to exit.
Yeah.
We've got women who are in product, who are in service, who are, all different kinds of women that are listening who want to get to the space where we now are, which feels insane. But really want to get there, get a business ready to sell.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice that you would have for them?
I would say the network is pretty important. Mm-hmm. Just being around as many people in the industry as possible. Mm-hmm. It just depends on the business though. I mean, I've never known a founder who had, and there's many people who built much bigger, better businesses than I did, but I've never known a founder who like had a really extraordinary company that couldn't get it sold. Like one that was making a lot of profit.
Right.
There's
a
always
profitable company can always be sold.
Always. The nice thing in CPG is that you don't always have to be so profitable, but if you want to have freedom and you don't want to be at the mercy of investors, but I've been in both positions.
Yeah.
I've been at, where I'm like, we're going to have to raise or otherwise we're going to run out of cash. And then I've been in a place where we, could cover our own lunch, so to speak. I think I prefer that feeling of being able to say we don't need you.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun.
Well, especially if you get into it with the goal of having agency.
Yes.
Then when you raise, sometimes you lose that agency.
Yes.
So hold on to that as long as you can.
And then
again,
back to the full circle, that those market dynamics when
yes,
they say you can either choose when to sell your company or how much you can sell it for, and you can't choose both. So I think if you have a great business and it's really great and it's growing and the market starts to rip,
Go.
Like, don't look back.
Go.
Run. Secure the bag.
I totally agree. Game, set, match. Let's end right on that. Natalie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
So good to see you, Carrie.
You're the best.
I love to see
You're
you.
the best.
Thank you.